Hello, in this video I'm basically going to teach you how to figure things out on your own when modding Hytale, because I've seen a lot of people ask questions that are relatively simple and then they have to wait hours to get a response, when they could figure it out themselves in 10 minutes if they knew how. So that's what this video is about. It's not a tutorial to get started with Hytale modding. I've got one to set up your project, which I'll link in the description if that's what you're looking for. But this is mainly for if you've got something specific that you want to figure out how to figure that out. So the very first thing you should do is look for documentation. There is a few sites. I recommend Hytale modding. Um, so let's say you want to learn how to register an event. You just go to hytalemodding.dev, go to the documentation, click on server plugins, then scroll down and there's a page called Creating Events, which you can read if you want to learn how to do that. If you can't find any documentation, then it's also good to just ask people. You can join discord.gg/hytalemodding. People are a lot more willing to just give you a link to a tutorial or some documentation than they are to spend 10-15 minutes teaching you something. So you'll get a lot more responses than just normally asking questions. If there isn't any documentations or tutorials, then you should find an example of what you want to do. So for example, if you're trying to make UI, then you should find a UI file in Hytale that already does what you want to do. So basically how I figured that out is I opened up this tool called Everything. It searches your entire computer for a specific file name. I'll have a link in the description if you want to download it. And I know that the main menu has a gradient on it, so I just typed in homepage.ui and I found this homepage. So I just opened that up and then I searched for gradient. And as you can see here, it looks like it's loading a file called home button label gradient and home button label hover gradient and gradient overlay. And they're all textures, so that made me think, okay, they're probably just using textures rather than like an actual overlay. So then I right-clicked on the file, I opened the path, and then I looked at what these textures actually are. And yeah, as you can see, they're just the gradients. One other thing you can do is if you've got Git installed, then you can right-click, open Git bash here, and then you can use grep dash capital R and then a string, so progress bar, and then a dot. So I had someone ask me how to render a progress bar on UI. So to answer that, I just went to the UI files. I typed in this command, and this will give a list of all the files which have the string progress bar in them. Okay, the command is actually case sensitive, so I did type in progress bar lowercase and there was no results, but then I put in with the correct case and I got all these results. So I'm going to go to this file here, the in-game pages inventory and basic crafting panel.ui. I'm going to open up this in VS Code and I'll search for progress bar. And you can see an example of how the progress bar works. If you're trying to figure out how to do something in code, then I recommend decompiling the Hytale server jar. I've got a tutorial on how to do that, which I'll link if you need. So I had someone ask me how to change the player's game mode, and there's a command which changes that, so I just used find in files and I typed in game mode command, and I just clicked here, and then I scrolled through and I found this execute method, and you can see that it just says player.setGameMode, and it's a static method which takes in the player ref, it takes in the game mode, the component accessor, which is just the store. So store, entity store. This class here implements component accessor. So if you ever see component accessor, it's just asking for the store. If there isn't any examples in the base game, then I recommend looking for a mod. So like if you want to figure out how to prevent someone from taking damage, then you can just search for, let's say, God, because there's a lot of mods called God mode, which prevent you taking damage, and there's this mod here, so I'm just going to open it, and since there's no GitHub link here, what you can just do is download the plugin, and then to decompile it, the easiest way is just to go to this site called javadecompilers.com, upload your jar file, and then click upload and decompile, and then you can either download zip and open it in IntelliJ, or just search through it in the browser, and like this file called God Mode Manager seems promising. So it looks like it extends damage event system, and then sets amount to 0 if the player is in God mode. And there's also a group in a query. And if we go over to God mode plugin, then the system here is registered in the setup method. Finally, AI can sometimes be useful, but you need to have a few things in mind when using AI. So Hytale is really new, so anytime you're asking AI something, you need to make sure that it's searching. Like, for example, if I type, do you know what Hytale is? Yes, Hytale is an upcoming sandbox adventure game. Hytale has been highly anticipated, but the release is still pending. It has had alpha/beta tests, so like you can obviously see this information is outdated, so you need to make sure that it does search. And you can just ask it to search and it will, depending on what site you're using. So like I can search how to register a command in Hytale, and then I'll add please search this. And it gives me this example, which extends command base and sends a hello from example command, and then it tells you how to register it. And it tells you a different way to register it because it's not really sure which one to use. So it can't be helpful. One thing to be aware of is that you don't actually want to extend command base because it's executing sync, which means it's all being done on one thread. So it's not in the correct thread. So you actually want to extend abstract command sync, async, I think it's called. But yeah, AI can give you a starting point. One thing to keep in mind is it's really bad for like handling the .ui files. It just keeps making up its own fields. Like even if you tell it not to, it just does. Thanks for watching. I hope this video helped you. If it did, remember to subscribe.